we're on the edge of a massive ocean. The Pacific Ocean's the biggest, the Atlantic's pretty big. And you have ocean currents and you have land currents. So within 1 week, we can get air from the North Pole and air from Aruba in the same week. That's called a high amplitude flow. High amplitude flow results in the record cold when it comes down from the north, record warm when it comes up from the south, and record wind when it meets right in the middle. So if you watch a system come off the Pacific Ocean, especially the South Pacific over Socorro, the southern tip of Baja, we call it the Socorro connection. If you see that air coming from like Hawaii to Socorro and then crossing over Mexico and Texas, and yesterday in Louisiana and Missouri there were 5 to 10 inches of rain. We kind of have a Socorro connection going on right now. And so you get air coming at us from the South Pacific. At the same time, you might get an air mass coming from Greenland at the same time. And that's where we get our special weather, special storms with the 20 and 30 foot waves because of what happens over the ocean. So that Pacific Ocean air is coming in. And on the north side, it's fed by air from the North Pole. On the south side, it's fed by air by Mexico. And nature abhors a gradient, so it's the low pressure system forms. A low pressure system is a cyclone. It swirls and it draws in air from every direction. And it's fueled primarily by warm air on the south side and cold air on the north side, except for hurricanes are fueled by all warm air. And we will do questions. Hopefully I'll do questions longer than I actually talk. And the systems come across the United States in what's called the westerlies, the jet stream that's a result of the big circulations and the fact the Earth is spinning so fast. Actually, we're going that way, aren't we? And the jet stream will steer these storms. And the surface storm may have a wind, say a storm goes by in Nantucket, and our wind is from the northeast. Up until about, say 300 years ago, meteorologists, or whatever we were back then, weather guessers, I guess we're still about the same, weather guesserologists now, because we make more on it, and Thomas Franklin and Benjamin Franklin were both star watchers. And Tom, I think his was Tom or John, they had, what, 13 brothers and sisters? Benjamin Franklin lived in Philadelphia, and his brother lived in Boston. And they knew there was going to be an eclipse. How they knew there was going to be an eclipse blows my mind. Oh yeah, there's going to be one this year too. Anyhow, you notice that every time we have an eclipse, they say it's the last one for 70 years until about 2 years later. That's weird. We just love stretching the truth a little bit. For that zip code, we meant. How come, if the wind was from the northeast, why was it cloudy and raining in Philadelphia on a Sunday while it was sunny in Boston? And then on a Monday, it was cloudy and rainy in Boston. So it was Benjamin Franklin that deduced that weather systems must have a circulation, and they can be moving in a different direction than the wind. So the wind in a nor'easter up high in the sky is generally from the southwest, and the air on the ground is generally from the northeast. And those weather systems are fueled by a special thing that happens here. The Labrador currents coming out of Labrador and around Maine, around Nova Scotia and through Maine, the Gulf of Maine. And then the Gulf Stream, which actually does come out of the Gulf of Mexico, south of Key West, through Key West, up, and then hugs the coast and goes up, and sometimes gets within 100 miles in Nantucket. So you have the cold water and the warm water, and that is another weather gradient. The warm air is trying to rise over the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf Stream, and the cold air is trying to sink over Labrador. And so when you get that low pressure system that's formed over Mexico, and it senses that gradient and the fuel that is warm, humid air over the Atlantic Ocean, that's when you get what we call bombogenesis. Cyclogenesis is when a storm forms, a cyclone forms. But sometimes it forms so quickly, and this happened in Florida last week. Oh, I couldn't believe what happened. Was it Monday? That tropical storm formed, Emily, and it went from a non-storm to a 60-mile-an-hour storm in 12 hours. That was sort of a hybrid. It was a warm storm, but it was fueled by a cold front. There's so many fascinating things. So that day, Sarasota had the most interesting weather on Earth. It intensified so rapidly. But for us, you'll see us on TV the day before, a couple days before. The system we're tracking for Saturday hasn't even formed yet. There's an ingredient coming across Texas, and you've got this other cold front that's in Ontario, and they're going to meet over Chesapeake Bay. And then we're going to see rapid intensification of a low pressure system. And we have a critical number. If the low pressure system deepens 24 millibars in 24 hours, we call that bombogenesis. Millibar is a measure of pressure. Actually, it's a measure of distance. And a barometer works by sensing the pressure of the atmosphere. Right now, we all have about 14.2 pounds per square inch. So you can deduct that from the scale on our shoulders. That's the weight of just the air pushing us on our shoulders. And then when you go underwater, you can feel it even more. So air and water are both fluids. A fluid is anything that takes the shape of its container. The substance that's in those balloons is a fluid. I'm assuming maybe it's air. I don't know. We should let one go and see what happens. Or we can just make one ourselves. So what happens is the fluid is taking the shape of its container. And then you have these boundaries. A boundary can be a mountain chain, a cold front, a warm front, a building. You know, when the air hits these buildings, it's got to do something. It doesn't go through the building. It hits the building and goes up. What is weather made out of? Air. What is the air doing? Ollie. Want to play a game?
Okay.
We're gonna keep going with this balloon until it pops. Alright, we're going to play a game where we let the balloon go and see where it goes.
Okay.
We're going to try and make a weather forecast.
Okay.
Now, weather forecast is when you try and predict the future.
Yeah.
And the future is very tricky because it has so many different ingredients.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in 10 minutes? We do not know. What's going to happen in 30 seconds? We're going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to let the balloon go like that.
Yeah, but if it pops, we'll close its ears.
Okay. Be prepared. It's not going to pop. I'm not going to blow anymore. So can you hold it like that? Can you hold it like that? Like that. Like that. Let go. Like that.
Ready?
No. Now, we're going to put it up this way. When you let it go, you're going to kind of throw it that way.
Okay.
We're going to count down for you, okay?
Okay.
And then when it lets go, with your other hand, point at it until it stops.
Okay.
I think it's going to go do-do, do-do.
Or the ice cream store.
Do-do, do-do, do-do.
Or to my brother.
Okay, you ready? We're going to let it go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down! Okay, where you going, Molly? Molly, come here.
What is it?
What was our forecast? What was your forecast?
I don't know.
You remember where it was going to go?
Over there.
Over there. Where did it land?
Over there.
You still get paid. Congratulations. The check is in the mail, so to speak. The ice cream is in the cone. It's also a little bit wet. Such is the life of a meteorologist. It was an educated guess. I thought the heat might push it that way. I thought we were on track. I thought we had a good forecast. And then one wrong turn, I think it was that electrical socket right there, that's man-made interference again, tipped it just a little bit. And that, honest to goodness, happens in the weather, in the atmosphere all the time. And that's why computer models are good, but not great. My analogy with a computer model is a little like the Wizard of Oz. When the house falls on the witch, and the witch, I don't know why her feet disappear. It was scary as heck though. And Dorothy is a little bit confused. Where am I? Toto, I don't think this is Kansas anymore. And then all of a sudden these cute little things start coming out from behind the plastic lollipops. The Munchkins. Is that what they were, right? I'm not confusing them with Willy Wonka, am I?
No.
And they say, could you give me direction back to Kansas? Kansas? What's Kansas? We don't know it. What's a Kansas? There's one person or thing that knows. The wizard. You must find the Wizard of Oz. How do I find the Wizard of Oz? Well, you follow the Yellow Brick Road. Yellow Brick Road. Yellow Brick Road. Follow the Yellow Brick Road. And when she starts off on the Yellow Brick Road, it's a cute dance and everything. She's going around. Also, there's a Red Brick Road. And for her first few steps, she could jump right on that Red Brick Road and still be fairly close to her path. But after about 30 or 40 steps, the Yellow Brick Road is going for ice cream, and the Red Brick Road is going for real estate. Which one do you invest in? I don't know. It's all a big wave. The analogy there is we start off at the same point, and we're still close for the first few hours or first few steps. But after, in a weather sense, 6 hours, 12 hours, if things aren't going in the right direction, they can end up in the totally wrong spot. For example, 1 week ago yesterday, it was supposed to be sunny, and then it was supposed to be a nor'easter, and then it was supposed to not rain, and then it just rained a little bit. So we forecast all those things, so we were right. There was supposed to be a second nor'easter of the week that would hit Cape Cod on a Friday. Instead, the thing that was coming out of Mexico slowed down. And so now all of a sudden, its train that was going to hop, which was a cold front from Ontario, the cold front from Ontario came through on Thursday night, and Friday was beautiful. We had forecast a nor'easter on Wednesday. One way to make a Chamber of Commerce angry. This Village Market doesn't mind, you know, it's raining, people go to the store, the movie theater was packed when it ended up raining. But so many people canceled golf plans and stuff, so Friday ended up being beautiful. And then Saturday wasn't so bad. The storm was a disaster in West Virginia. So we were so close, but it missed by just this much. And that is the nature of computer modeling. We're only good for so many hours. And the thing here that makes Scituate so interesting is our position on Earth. Halfway between the equator and the North Pole, on the edge of a vast continent that has both hot, warm, cold, dry, moist air, and the edge of a massive ocean that has warm water and very cold water. There are still icebergs from last winter off Newfoundland. Really pretty. And Greenland is having an exceptional summer. It's been very cold, and it's actually been snowing around Hudson Bay. The last time I saw a summer like this was approximately 2012. And 2012, 2013, the Lake Superior froze like it hadn't frozen 100 years. And then the next winter, that came down here. If I have the years wrong, it's 14, 15 was our bad winter, right? So then it was 13, 14. So it would have been 2013, last time I saw a summer pattern where it was so cold in northern Canada. So in my opinion, the writing is on the wall for this winter. Unless something really big changes, we're going to have a nasty winter. We've had so many nor'easters this summer. The storm that's coming by tomorrow night is going to be a little bit like a nor'easter, except the wind's going to be from the southeast because of where it's tracking. If your low pressure system has a counterclockwise circulation, deduced by Benjamin Franklin in November of 1823. If the low center goes right over Scituate, you get an east wind, then it goes calm, and then you get a west wind. But more generally, the storms go over Cape Cod, so our wind will come from the northeast, then maybe east, and then it will switch around and come from the southwest. And we actually can get some of the worst weather right as the southwest comes in sometimes. Depends. Like in Sandy, I think our worst weather was southwest. So tomorrow night, there's a low going right over us. And you're going to watch your barometer go down. It's not a very deep storm, but when you get a low pressure system that's kind of a wintertime type, it's 35 degrees right now in Mount Washington. and the wind is northwest at 55 miles per hour. This is what's fueling the north side of this system that came out of the Pacific Ocean a few days ago. And that's why we've seen flooding in Missouri and Arkansas. And a wave on a warm front like that can drop inches of rain in just a few hours. If it was snow, we would be out of our minds going 0 to 24. Every snowstorm, the accumulation amount should start at 0, whatever. 0 to 6, 0 to 12, 0 to 18. If I say 0 to 18, I'm hoping you get 9. Well, I don't like giving ranges. I remember, starting off as weatherman and saying 6 to 12 inches of snow and we'd get 7.5 or 8. Everyone would say, you said a foot. So now when I think 6 to 12, I just say 9 or whatever, 8. And then I'll say, there could be areas that get 6, could be areas that get 12, but I won't write down 12 because something happens in your mind. If you see a 12 on the map, that's all you see is a 12. Can you put it right over my house? I mean, everybody wants to know, what time at my house? What time? What time's it going to start? What time's it going to stop? How many inches? In the olden days, we were happy if it just snowed for an hour on the right day. And nowadays, everybody wants to set their clock by it. And it's true because we are so, instantaneous gratification. We're socializing this immediately. Instead of saying hello to people, that's what I like to say now. You got a good signal?
No.
Good signal? You got a good charge? Good charge? Cool. That's old school though. Right, because we can't communicate. You can't get a hold of your wife because she's down in the bedroom. Perhaps instead of yelling, just give her a little text. Maybe she'll respond. How about the kids? You got a good signal? Really? You must have a better phone because I never had a signal here. That's why it was great to go to TK O'Malley's. Sorry, dear, no signal. Can't help you. We need a few, what do they call them? Instead of a hot spot, where's the nearest cold spot? I'm going to go and hang out there for a while. So, today is kind of an interesting day. We've got sinking air, but I'm curious as to why the top of the sky is so white. It's almost not like a cloud. I think we might be seeing smoke from fires in British Columbia today. There are these nasty fires that have had a bad drought in parts of Alberta and British Columbia and Montana. And that's kind of where our air is coming from, up high in the sky now. If you go home when you watch the weather on TV tonight, you'll see on the satellite the clouds are kind of coming in from the Midwest. And so I think we actually have haze. And then there's a little altocumulus over there. There's a lot of wind going on up high in the sky right now. And we're going to have about 3 or 4 different kinds of weather in the next 72 hours. I think that the tomatoes will get watered tomorrow night, except for in Scituate. Everyone always says, why does the thunderstorm always evaporate when it gets to my house? It doesn't really do that. It's just that thunderstorms are so small, although last Saturday, what was the date? Sunday? Or Monday. When was the flash flooding? Wednesday. They're all flooding. Wednesday, there was a storm. I came down to Scituate on Wednesday, and I drove out of flooding rains in Cohasset. And I got to the Driftway, and I took a photograph of sunshine over Hummerock and a wicked black cloud over Norwell. And so the rain line was right there. And on that day, you could literally see it was pouring in one corner of town, and it was nice in the other corner of town. So, obviously, Cohasset people did not miss that storm that day. It hit. So they do make it across Route 3A occasionally. I think it's just because they're so small, and people actually like thunderstorms for some perverse reason, including me, and I used to be really scared of them. It's like a car crash. You hope nobody got hurt, but you can't look away. It's coming at you, you want to know. So, I can't think of a good joke to close on. All right, what's an isobar? Isobar? It's where penguins go to drink. It's also a line of constant pressure. I feel I'm in constant pressure because I'm the weatherman. Hey, weatherman! As soon as I hear that, I start getting nervous. Am I in trouble? Did it rain at your daughter's wedding? I'm so sorry. Love your work. Oh, Thank you. Love you too. I'm so happy. I do love all of you. And I appreciate you coming, and I'd be happy to sit here and have discussion for as long as you want. All right, who's got the first question? Thank you. Thank you. Hollywood.
No, this is no.
No. This is what?
Man!